Historically, falls are the leading cause of fatalities in construction, accounting for about 1/3 of all fatalities in the industry. For example, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, USA, reported that there were 291 fatal falls to a lower level in construction in 2013, out of 828 total fatalities. Incidents involving falls are generally complex events, frequently involving a variety of factors. Consequently, the standard for fall protection deals with both the human and equipment-related issues in protecting workers from fall hazards. This course is intended to help workers and employers better understand the fall protection in construction. CALS is based on the OSHA Standard 29 CFR 1926.500/501/502/503, which lays out the requirement for working at height in construction. It applies when workers are working at heights of 6 feet or more above a lower level. It also covers protection from falling objects, falls from tripping over or falling through holes, and protection when walking and working around dangerous equipment without regard to height. Fall protection required for a worker who is on a ramp, runway, or another walkway, at the edge of an excavation, in a hoist area, on a steep roof, on, at, above, or near wall openings, on a walking or working surface with holes, including skylights, or unprotected sides or edges, above dangerous equipment, above a lower level where leading edges are under construction, on the face of formwork and reinforcing steel, or otherwise on a walking or working surface 6 feet or more above a lower level. The standard may also require fall protection where a worker is constructing a leading edge, performing overhand bricklaying and related work, or engaged in roofing work on low-slope roofs, precast concrete erection, or residential construction. In addition, the standard requires falling object protection when a worker is exposed to falling objects. Generally, fall protection can be categorized: use of guardrail systems, use of personal fall arrest, use of safety nets. OSHA encourages employers to select systems that prevent falls of any kind, such as guardrails designed to keep workers from falling over the edge of a building. Each worker constructing a leading edge 6 feet or more above a lower level must be protected by guardrail systems, safety net systems, or personal fall arrest systems, when workers perform overhand bricklaying and related work 6 feet or more above a lower level. They must be protected by guardrail systems, safety net systems, or personal fall arrest systems. Or they must work in a controlled access zone, CAZ. Controlled access zones when used to determine access to areas where overhand bricklaying and related work are taking place are to be defined by a control line erected not less than 10 feet, 3 meters, nor more than 15 feet, 4.6 meters, from the working edge. Controlled access zone, CAZ, an area in which certain work, for example, overhand bricklaying, may take place without the use of guardrail systems, personal fall arrest systems, or safety net systems, and where access to the zone is controlled. A low-slope roof has a slope less than or equal to 4 and 12, 30 degree. One or more unprotected sides 6 feet or more above lower levels, workers must be protected from falling by guardrail systems, safety net systems, personal fall arrest systems. Any of the above, warning line system and safety monitoring. If working on low-slope roofs 50 feet or less in width, the use of a safety monitoring system without a warning line system is permitted. Workers engaged in residential construction 6 feet or more above lower levels must be protected. Guardrail systems. Safety net systems. Personal fall arrest. As a general matter, each worker on a walking or working surface where there is a danger of fall from more than 6 meters, it must be protected by guardrail system, a safety net system, a personal fall arrest system. Each worker in a hoist area must be protected from falling 6 feet or more by guardrail systems or personal fall arrest systems. There may be times when the guardrail systems, or chain, gate, or guardrail, must be removed in whole or part to facilitate hoisting operations. For example, during the landing of materials, a worker may need to lean through the access opening to receive or guide equipment and materials. At such times, a personal fall arrest system must be used to protect the worker from falling through the unprotected opening. A hole through which a person can fall more than 6 feet, including skylights, must be protected from falling by personal fall arrest systems, covers, or guardrail systems. Each worker on a ramp, runway, or another walkway must be protected by guardrail systems against falling 6 feet or more. If any excavation 6 feet or deeper, it must be protected from falling guardrail systems, fences, or barricade when the excavation cannot be readily seen easily. All well edges, pit, shaft, and similar excavation 6 feet or deeper must be protected from falling by guardrail systems, fence, or equivalent. When working 6 feet or more above dangerous equipment, each worker must be protected by guardrail systems, safety net systems, or personal fall arrest systems. When working less than 6 feet above dangerous equipment, each worker must be protected from falling into or onto the dangerous equipment by a guardrail system or equipment guards. Where the outside bottom edge of the wall opening is 6 feet or more above lower levels and the inside bottom edge of the wall opening is less than 39 inches above the walking or working surface, must be protected with a guardrail system, a safety net system, or a personal fall arrest system. Falling object protection must comply with the following provisions. When guardrail systems are used to prevent materials from falling, any openings must be small enough to prevent falling objects. During overhand bricklaying, only masonry and mortar shall be stored within 4 feet of working edges. All other materials shall be stored in a safe place, and maintained regular housekeeping. During roofing work, if the guard system is not fixed, materials and equipment must not be stored within 6 feet of a roof edge. Any materials piled, grouped, or stacked must be stable and self-supporting. If toe boards are used as protection from falling objects, toe boards must be capable of withstanding a force of at least 50 pounds. Toe boards must be at least 3.5 inches tall from their top edge to the level of the working surface. It must have no more than 0.25-inch clearance above the working surface. It must be solid or have openings no larger than 1 inch. If tools, equipment, or materials are higher than the toe board, paneling or screening must be erected. Canopies. When used as protection from falling objects, canopies must be strong enough to prevent collapse and to prevent penetration by any objects. Guardrail systems are barriers erected to prevent workers from falling to lower levels. If the employer chooses to use guardrail systems to protect workers from falls, the following provisions apply. Top rails, or equivalent guardrail system members, must be 39-45 inches high from the grade. Guardrail systems must have a surface to protect workers from punctures or lacerations and to prevent clothing from snagging. When workers are using stilts, high under the feet, the top edge of the top rail must be increased equal to the height of the stilts. Screens, mid-rails, mesh, intermediate vertical members must be installed between the top edge of the guardrail. When mid-rails are used, they must be installed at a height midway between the top edge of the guardrail. When screens and mesh are used, they must extend from the top rail to the walking or working level and along with the entire opening between top rail supports. The guardrail system must be capable of withstanding a force of at least 200 pounds, 890 newtons, applied within 2 inches of the top edge in any outward or downward direction. When necessary, screens and/or mesh must be installed in a manner to prevent a worker from falling underneath. When intermediate members, such as balusters, are used between posts, they must not be more than 19 inches apart. Mid-rails, screens, mesh, intermediate vertical members, solid panels, and equivalent structural members must be capable of withstanding a force of at least 150 pounds applied in any downward or outward direction at any point along the mid-rail or another member. The ends of top rails and mid-rails must not overhang terminal posts, except where an overhang poses no projection hazard. If wire rope is used for top rails, it must be flagged at not more than 6-foot intervals with high visibility material. When guardrail systems are used at hoisting areas, a removable guardrail must be placed to use when hoisting operations are not taking place. When guardrail systems are used at holes, they must be set up on all unprotected sides or edges. When a hole is used for the passage of materials, it must not have more than 2 sides with removable guardrail sections. If guardrail systems are used around holes being used as access points, such as ladderways, gates must be used. Alternatively, the point of access must be offset to prevent workers from accidentally walking straight into the hole. When the hole is not in use, it must be covered or provided with a guardrail system along all unprotected sides or edges. If guardrails are used on ramps and runways, they must be erected on each unprotected side or edge. When safety nets are used, they must be installed as close as practicable under the walking or working surface on which workers are working and never more than 30 feet below that level. When nets are used on bridges, the potential fall area from the walking or working surface to the net must be unobstructed. All safety nets must be installed with sufficient clearance underneath to prevent a falling body from hitting the surface or structure below the net. If the employer chooses to use nets, the following criteria apply. The vertical distance from the working level to the horizontal plane of the net. Minimum required horizontal distance from the edge of a working surface to the outer edge of the net up to 5 feet 8 feet more than 5 feet up to 10 feet more than 10 feet 13 feet. Drop testing is required to ensure that safety nets and safety net installations are working properly. If an employer can demonstrate that it is unreasonable to perform a drop test, then the employer or a designated competent person must certify that the net and its installation is in compliance with the standard. Do not use defective nets. Inspect nets at least once a week for wear, damage, or deterioration of components such as net connection points. Remove materials, tools, and other items as soon as possible from the net and at least before the next work shift. To work properly, a safety net must have safe openings. Mesh openings must not exceed 36 square inches, and must not be longer than 6 inches on any side. Each opening, measured center to center of mesh ropes or webbing, must not exceed 6 inches. All mesh crossings must be secured to prevent the openings from enlarging. Use a safety net, or section of the net, with a border rope possessing a minimum breaking strength of 5,000 pounds. Do not allow one weak link to compromise a safety net. Use connections between safety net panels that are as strong as integral net components and spaced no more than 6 inches apart. A personal fall arrest system is a system used to safely stop, arrest, a worker who is falling from the working level. It consists of an anchorage, connectors, and a body harness. It also may include a lanyard, deceleration device, lifeline, or suitable combinations of these. Limit the maximum arresting force on a worker to 1,800 pounds when used with a body harness. Be rigged so that a worker can neither free fall more than 6 feet nor contact any lower level. Know the A, B, C's of personal fall arrest systems: anchorages, body harness components, connectors like snap hooks or D-rings, connection points, lanyards, deceleration devices, lifelines, etc. Bring a worker to a complete stop and limit the maximum deceleration distance a worker travels to 3.5 feet. Have sufficient strength to withstand twice the potential impact energy of a worker free falling a distance of 6 feet or the free fall distance permitted by the system, whichever is less. Be inspected prior to each use for wear, damage, and other deterioration. Defective components must be removed from service. Snap hooks must be the locking type and designed and used to prevent disengagement from any component part of the personal fall arrest system. Locking type snap hooks may also be used when designed for the following connections: directly to webbing, rope, or wire rope, to each other, to a D-ring to which another snap hook or other connector is attached, to a horizontal lifeline, or to any object which is incompatibly shaped or dimensioned in relation to the snap hook, such that unintentional disengagement could occur by the connected object being able to depress the snap hook keeper and release itself. Vertical lifelines and lanyards. Vertical lifelines and lanyards must have a minimum breaking strength of 5,000 pounds. Lifelines must be protected against being cut or abraded. Self-retracting lifelines. Self-retracting lifelines and lanyards that automatically limit free fall distance to 2 feet or less must be capable of sustaining a minimum tensile load of 3,000 pounds applied to the device with the lifeline or lanyard in the fully extended position. Self-retracting lifelines and lanyards that do not limit free fall distance to 2 feet, 0.61 meters, or less, ripstitch lanyards, and tearing and deforming lanyards shall be capable of sustaining a minimum tensile load of 5,000 pounds, 22.2 kilonewtons, applied to the device with the lifeline or lanyard in the fully extended position. Ropes and straps. Ropes and straps, webbing, used in lanyards, lifelines, and strength components of body belts and body harnesses must be made of synthetic fibers. Anchorages. Anchorages used to attach personal fall arrest systems must be designed, installed, and used under the supervision of a qualified person, as part of a complete personal fall arrest system that maintains a safety factor of at least 2. Alternatively, The anchorages must be independent of any anchorage being used to support or suspend platforms and must be capable of supporting at least 5,000 pounds per worker attached or be capable of supporting at least twice the expected impact load. Warning line system as a barrier erected on a roof to warn workers that they are approaching an unprotected roof side or edge, and to designate an area in which roofing work may take place without the use of guardrails, body harnesses, or safety net systems to protect workers in the area. Warning line systems consist of ropes, wires, or chains, plus supporting stanchions. If an employer chooses to use warning line systems, the following provisions apply. The warning line must be erected around all sides of roof work areas. When mechanical equipment is not being used, the warning line must be erected at least 6 feet from the roof edge. When mechanical equipment is being used, the warning line must be erected at least 6 feet from the roof edge parallel to the direction of mechanical equipment operation. At least 10 feet from the roof edge perpendicular to the direction of mechanical equipment operation. The rope, wire, or chain must be flagged at not more than 6-foot intervals. The rope, wire, or chain must be rigged and supported. The lowest point, including sag, is at least 34 inches from the working surface. Its highest point is no more than 39 inches from the working surface. Stanchions, after being rigged with warning lines, must be capable of resisting, without tipping over, a force of at least 16 pounds applied horizontally against the stanchion, 30 inches above the walking or working surface, perpendicular to the warning line and in the direction of the floor, roof, or platform edge. The rope, wire, or chain must have a minimum tensile strength of 500 pounds. After being attached to the stanchions, it must support, without breaking, the loads applied to the stanchions. The rope, wire, or chain must be attached to each stanchion in such a way that pulling on one section of the line between stanchions will not result in slack being taken up in the adjacent section before the stanchion tips over. A controlled access zone is a work area in which certain types of work may take place without using conventional fall protection systems. Worker access to these areas must be carefully controlled. Usually, a controlled access zone would be designated where overhand bricklaying was occurring without the protection of guardrails. In this example, only masons and other workers actually engaged in the bricklaying would be allowed. Where leading edge exists, the controlled access zones must be defined by a control line or by any other means that restricts access. The control line must be erected at least 6 feet and no more than 25 feet from the unprotected edge. When precast concrete members are being erected, the control line is to be erected at least 6 feet and no more than 60 feet or half the length of the member being erected, whichever is less. The control line must extend along the entire length of and approximately parallel to the unprotected side door leading edge and be connected on each side to a guardrail system or wall. When controlled access zones are used to limit access to areas where overhand bricklaying and related work are taking place, a control line must be erected to define the work zone and must be erected at least 10 feet and no more than 15 feet from the working edge. Additional control lines must be erected at each end of the controlled access zone to enclose the work area. Only workers engaged in overhand bricklaying or related work are permitted in the controlled access zone. Control lines must consist of ropes, wires, tapes, or equivalent materials, and supporting stanchions. When used, each control line must be flagged or otherwise clearly marked at not more than 6-foot intervals with high visibility material. Be rigged and supported in such a way that the lowest point, including sag, is not less than 39 inches from the walking or working surface, and the highest point is not more than 45 inches, or more than 50 inches when overhand bricklaying operations are being performed, from the walking or working surface. Have a braking strength of at least 200 pounds. A safety monitoring system is an alternative fall protection option for low-slope roofing work. They must designate a competent person to monitor the safety of workers. Warn them when their work puts them close to a fall hazard. Be on the same working surfaces and be able to see them. Be close enough to the work operations to speak directly with workers. Have no other duties to distract them from their monitoring function. Employers must ensure that mechanical equipment is not used or stored in areas. No other worker enters the area. All workers in a controlled access shall comply with the instruction by safety monitor. It is possible that during leading-edge work, precast concrete erection, or residential construction, it may be infeasible or may create a greater hazard to use conventional fall protection for a specific task. In those circumstances, employers may implement a fall protection plan. The plan must include a written discussion of other measures that will be taken to reduce or eliminate the fall hazard for workers who cannot be provided with protection using conventional fall protection systems. Eventually, the employer has the burden of establishing that it is appropriate to implement a fall protection plan instead of implementing conventional fall protection systems. If any accident happens, then he has to take responsibility. Anchorage: a secure point of attachment for lifelines, lanyards, or deceleration devices. Body harness straps which may be secured about the worker in a manner that will distribute the fall arrest forces over at least the thighs, pelvis, waist, chest, and shoulders, with means for attaching it to other components of a personal fall arrest system. Buckle: any device for holding the body belt or body harness closed around the worker's body. Competent person: one who can identify existing and predictable hazards in the surroundings or working conditions that are unsanitary, hazardous, or dangerous to workers, and who has the authorization to take prompt corrective measures to eliminate them. Connector: a device that is used to couple, connect, parts of the personal fall arrest system and positioning device systems together. It may be an independent component of the system, such as a carabiner, or it may be an integral component of part of the system, such as a buckle or D-ring sewn into a body belt or body harness, or a snap hook spliced or sewn to a lanyard or self-retracting lanyard. Controlled Access Zone, CAZ, an area in which certain work, for example, overhand bricklaying, may take place without the use of guardrail systems, personal fall arrest systems, or safety net systems, and where access to the zone is controlled. Dangerous equipment, such as pickling or galvanizing tanks, degreasing units, machinery, electrical equipment, and other units, which, as a result of form or function, may be hazardous to workers who fall onto or into such equipment. Deceleration device: any mechanism, such as a rope grab, ripstitch lanyard, specially woven lanyard, tearing or deforming lanyards, automatic self-retracting lifelines/lanyards, etc., which serves to dissipate a substantial amount of energy during a fall arrest, or otherwise limit the energy imposed on a worker during fall arrest. Deceleration distance, the additional vertical distance a falling employer travels, excluding lifeline elongation and free fall distance, before stopping, from the point at which the deceleration device begins to operate. Failure, load refusal, breakage, or separation of component parts. Load refusal is the point where the ultimate strength is exceeded. Freefall, the act of falling before a personal fall arrest system begins to apply force to arrest the fall. Free fall distance, the vertical displacement of the fall arrest attachment point on the worker's body belt or body harness between onset of the fall and just before the system begins to apply force to arrest the fall. This distance excludes deceleration distance and lifeline, lanyard elongation, but includes any deceleration device slide distance or self-retracting lifeline, lanyard extension before they operate and fall arrest forces occur. Guardrail system, a barrier erected to prevent workers from falling to lower levels. Hole, a gap or void 2 inches or more in its least dimension, in a floor, roof, or other walking or working surface. Infeasible, impossible to perform the construction work using a conventional fall protection system, that is, guardrail system, safety net system, or personal fall arrest system, or technologically impossible to use any one of these systems to provide fall protection. Lanyard, a flexible line of rope, wire rope, or strap which generally has a connector at each end for connecting the body belt or body harness to a deceleration device, lifeline, or anchorage. Leading edge, the edge of a floor, roof, or framework for a floor or other walking or working surface, such as the deck, which changes location as additional floor, roof, decking, or framework sections are placed, formed, or constructed. A leading edge is considered to be an unprotected side and edge during periods when it is not actively and continuously under construction. Lifeline, a component consisting of a flexible line for connection to an anchorage at one end to hang vertically, vertical lifeline, or for connection to anchorages at both ends to stretch horizontally, horizontal lifeline, and which serves as a means for connecting other components of a personal fall arrest system to the anchorage. Low slope roof, a roof having a slope less than or equal to 4 and 12, vertical to horizontal. Lower levels, those areas or surfaces to which a worker can fall. Such areas or surfaces include, but are not limited to, ground levels, floors, platforms, ramps, runways, excavations, pits, tanks, material, water, equipment, structures, or portions thereof. Mechanical equipment, all motor or human-propelled wheeled equipment used for roofing work, except wheelbarrows and mop carts. Opening, a gap or void 30 inches or more high and 18 inches or wider, in a wall or partition, through which workers can fall to a lower level. Overhand bricklaying and related work, the process of laying bricks and masonry units such that the surface of the wall to be jointed is on the opposite side of the wall from the mason, requiring the mason to lean over the wall to complete the work. Related work includes mason tending and electrical installation incorporated into the brick wall during the overhand bricklaying process. Personal fall arrest system, a system used to arrest a worker in a fall from a working level. It consists of an anchorage, connectors, and a body harness. It may include a lanyard, deceleration device, lifeline, or suitable combinations of these. Note: since January 1, 1998, the use of a body belt for fall arrest has been prohibited. Qualified, one who, by the possession of a recognized degree, certificate, or professional standing, or who by extensive knowledge, training, and experience, has successfully demonstrated his ability to solve or resolve problems relating to the subject matter, the work, or the project. Rope grab, a deceleration device that travels on a lifeline and automatically, by friction, engages the lifeline and locks so as to arrest the fall of a worker. A rope grab usually employs the principles of inertial locking, cam, level locking, or both. Roof, the exterior surface on the top of a building. This does not include floors or foam work which, because a building has not been completed, temporarily become the top surface of a building. Roofing work, the hoisting, storage, application, and removal of roofing materials and equipment, including related insulation, sheet metal, and vapor barrier work, but not including the construction of the roof deck. Safety monitoring system, a safety system in which a competent person is responsible for recognizing and warning workers of fall hazards. Self-retracting lifeline, lanyard, a deceleration device containing a drum wound line which can be slowly extracted from, or retracted onto, the drum under slight tension during normal worker movement, and which, after the onset of a fall, automatically locks the drum and arrests the fall. Snap hook, a connector comprised of a hook-shaped member with a normally closed keeper, or similar arrangement, which may be open to permit the hook to receive an object and, when released, automatically closes to retain the object. Steep roof, a roof having a slope greater than 4 in 12, vertical to horizontal. Toe board, a low protective barrier that will prevent the fall of materials and equipment to lower levels and provide workers protection from falls. Unprotected sides and edges, any side or edge, except at entrances to points of access, of a walking or working surface, for example, floor, roof, ramp, or runway, where there is no wall or guardrail system at least 39 inches high. Walking, working, walking or working, surface, any surface, whether horizontal or vertical, on which a worker walks or works, including but not limited to floors, roofs, ramps, bridges, runways, foam work, and concrete reinforcing steel, but not including ladders, vehicles, or trailers, on which workers must be located in order to perform their job duties. Warning line system, a barrier erected on a roof to warn workers that they are approaching an unprotected roof side or edge, and which designates an area in which roofing work may take place without the use of guardrail, body harness, or safety net systems to protect workers in the area. Working at height is the most dangerous activity in construction. Anytime workers are working more than 6 feet must use some type of fall protection system. There are different type of fall protection is available which includes, guardrail system, personal fall protection, safety net system, safety monitoring system, control zone system. Most of the time fall protection is required for holes, working and walking surfaces at height, leading and open edges, steep roofs, climbing towers and other heights, hoisting areas. All protection system must be inspected before starting the job and using them. Controlled zone access is used where a conventional protection system cannot be installed. All the working at height shall be done under a working at height plan approved by the company.